What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Strength Solutions Podcast. You can find us on Apple and Spotify. You can rate and review us. Check us out on YouTube. Leave a comment down below. Subscribe. Tell this guy he's not that amazing and that I'm amazing, and we're all good. Website is strengthsolutionspodcast.com. Email strengthsolutionspodcast@gmail.com. That's where you can add fitness questions or ask us just regular questions. Yeah. How am I bald? Or something like that, you know? Yeah, and social media.
What's a balayage?
What's a balayage? Good question. Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, we're Strength Solutions Podcast. I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
Okay, dude. I heard you're vegan.
Never.
That's how we're starting this.
You're just going to out me like that to everybody?
Yeah, so there was a video with Dr. Mike.
Yeah.
And it was a really good video about vegans were considered like the healthiest people before. Why are vegans not healthy now?
Right. Or why has it changed? And, you know, it's funny. It made me think a lot about being in high school when being vegan was like trendy and cool. And
damn, I'm old.
And a lot
I was after.
Yeah. And a lot of the people that I knew who were quote unquote vegan just walk around eating a bag of chips, eating candy, drinking whatever. And I was like, is that vegan? You know, and they're like, well, it has no animal products, blah, blah. I was like, And so getting to the point is that what he was saying is that veganism today isn't the same as it was years ago.
Mm-hmm. I think a big part too is the way people join vegan as a way just to eat. People did this as a lifestyle.
Yeah.
They didn't have animal products that they wore. They didn't use makeup that they had animal products. It was like more than just a diet to them. It was a way of life.
A morality to it, right? Yeah. I've also known vegan people who are like, well, I'll wear like a leather watch or something. I'm like, okay, come on.
You're not vegan, bro.
Yeah. And, you know, there is a difference between vegetarianism and veganism, right? And I guess I don't want to say rules, but sort of some of the constructs around it and stuff. But in terms of health and fitness, what Dr. Mike was getting at is that when veganism came around, and I guess it started to kind of become more popular and explode a little bit more, and I guess kind of hit that sort of mainstream trendy kind of thing, a lot of companies then came around and started to make vegan products. And a lot of the products were highly processed, right? I mean, look at all the food from like Beyond Meat and every vegan company now, right? Morningstar, there's probably 1 million vegan supplements and all of these things, etc. And people who were vegan started to eat those processed foods, right? And it's funny because I think that the argument that we try and make a lot isn't, you know, carnivore versus this or, you know, vegan versus that or whatever, but it's just whole foods versus processed foods, right? And that's like the actual argument that we should be having at the end of the day, because even if you're vegan, if you're eating a bunch of processed food, you're still going to be unhealthy.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a big part of the processed food versus meat or unprocessed
whole food.
Whole food.
Yeah.
Man, gibberish. Is that it's not that processed food is bad. It's the amount.
Yeah.
It's what type of processed food you're having. How processed is it? And if you're super hungry or you're in the middle of nowhere, processed food is better than no food.
Fair enough. Yeah. It's, you know, because there's vegan food that's like a fucking quinoa salad, right? And then you have vegan food that's like a Beyond Meat, you know, burger patty. I don't know if you ever had one of those. Have you had one?
I have.
Yeah. The first time.
It's beyond disgusting.
You didn't like it?
No, it's not bad.
The first time I had one, I bought it at the store. You take it home. It looks like meat. You know, it's like in a little foam package thing wrapped with plastic. It's all pink and stuff. I remember cooking it up and I remember eating it and being like, what the fuck? This tastes very similar to meat. At least at the time when I had it. I don't know if they've since changed or anything like that. But like, if you're going to tell me that that's a bunch of plant products mixed up together and jumbled up and made pink and also tastes like meat, like, come on, you know, like
good old chemicals.
Yeah. Like this cannot be healthy. You know? Yeah.
I mean, they got rid of red dye.
Oh yeah, they did. I wonder if now that all the Beyond Meat food's all gray. It's all the slop.
Oh, all right. Let's get into what we do best. Squat and hinging.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
So Dr. Johnson, I think that's his name, right? John Russin.
I'll show you Dr. Johnson.
John Russin. He had this like squat all the way to hinge extremes. And I think this is perfect.
Yeah.
You need the ability to move in all those realms. So on the very left is the squat, and it starts with the goblet squat.
It's goes from like the most knee flexion, right, to the least amount of knee flexion.
Correct. If you don't know what knee flexion means, it means most knee bend, right? This guy got to get all scientific, try to sound all good.
Even
I got
in
the
the
flexion extension.
even in this infographic, he did say knee bend.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the more knee bend is like a goblet squat. Then you get into the front squat. Then you get a safety bar squat. Then you get into a back squat. Then halfway through is like the trap bar deadlift. Then you get the sumo deadlift. Then you get the conventional deadlift. We're going into more hinges, RDLs. And then the most hinges, good mornings.
Yeah.
All those exercises are good exercises.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've done every single one of these. Besides, you know what? I've never sumo squat deadlifted. Never done it.
Because it's cheating.
No, it's not cheating. I've just never done it.
That's how I did high school.
Yeah. I know a lot of powerlifters will train doing that also because you can just straight up lift more weight.
And it depends on mechanics and how your body's built.
Yeah. But all of these, I think, have a place. You know what I mean? I would have certain reasons for doing all of them in my own training. I'd have certain reasons for applying them to clients, you know, depending on what they need. Squatting is always going to be a lot more knee dominant, right? Hinging is more hip dominant. And then I also like that in this, there's like a curve, right? And underneath it says the ability to move weight. Right. So on the far end, you're going to move the least amount of weight. Right. So for the hinge, it'd be the good morning. For the squat, it would be the goblet squat. Right. And then right in the middle, you got that trap bar deadlift. That's sort of that hybrid movement. Right. It's a little bit of the hip hinge. It's a little bit of the squat. And in that one, I also find that I can lift the most, right, of any of my lifts. You know, like I could probably just slap shit on there and just like keep going.
Whoa, keep on bragging. Humble brag.
I don't do it as much because the trap bar that I have available isn't super long. And we don't really have like the proper plates for it. So I don't really know how much I can trap bar deadlift, but
well, you got to come over to my gym.
There you go. Yeah. You guys got a real long one, huh?
Long one. That's how they like it.
Yeah. But it's really cool. And I think that if you're having trouble with maybe one of these movements, maybe you're like, man, my back squat always feels like shit. It doesn't feel good. Well, maybe you take a look at this graph and be like, oh, maybe I need a little more knee dominance. You know, maybe I need to go into the front squat, or maybe I should try and do some trap bar deadlifting or something like that in between and see just what works for you. You know? Yeah.
And at the end of the day, no movement's good, no movement's bad. You got to figure out what really works for you. And what I like about this diagram, it shows you have different ranges of motion. So consider that as well when you're lifting. Not everything is strong, right? So if I'm in a good morning, I'm hinging back pretty far and I'm putting my low back at a risk if I go really heavy. So maybe it's an exercise that's better, lends itself to having less weight and doing more reps. Same thing on the other end of the spectrum. Like it's hard to hold a lot of weight here in a goblet squat, and it's easier to put more knee pressure if you're very vertical with your goblet squat.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people put themselves on a slant board or something like that.
Ramp.
And they are even more knee function, right? And so there's more knee torque. So it also probably lends to do better with more reps instead of risking the knee.
Yeah, building endurance or even using them like as a priming movement, you know, as you move closer towards sort of that center of the little curve here, right? You know, a good morning is a great way to prime for a deadlift or an RDL. A goblet squat is a great way to prime for your front squat or your back squat, right? And so maybe kind of just using them more as tools as opposed to like, I'm going to go max out my good morning today. You know,
that's what I do all the time.
Yeah, fuck that.
So let's talk about difficult lifts. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So I've uncut, right? And I've been told I look leaner.
Yep.
I look like I lost quite a bit of weight. I weigh the exact same.
Okay.
And I think nobody talks about this variable, right? I've been doing lifts that I hate. And I've been doing lifts that support things that I don't do often.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you're stuck and you want to build muscle, the best thing to do is do things that you hate.
Yeah, because it's probably a reason why you hate them, because they're probably super hard.
So one of the exercises is the behind the neck press.
Yeah, dude. And you're like real fucking good at that.
It took me time to get there.
Yeah, dude.
I did 155 the other day.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen that same day that you did it. I think you pressed 185 for the top set on that day, at least.
Yeah.
Right after you did that, I texted my brother and I was like, Edwin just behind the neck, 185. I'm going to kill him. He needs to die. Yeah. Today.
Yeah.
And it's insane, man, because it's like the behind, what's funny too is that I've been thinking about what I want to do after I'm sort of done with my phase here, which will probably end in like February. And I kind of want to try and see about doing like fun, unconventional stuff, kind of taking a page out of your book. And I was like, some cool like overhead, variations, like an overhead press with the in front over this way with the palms facing you, pressing up and over there, Z presses, zerchers, doing some of those things that are a little more like quote unquote fun. And also things that I know are,
you use that word fun liberally, my brother.
yeah. And it's like, or things that are really hard, right? Like behind the neck shoulder press, bro, I can't do shit on that, and it's like, maybe it's something I should work on.
And so another thing I've been doing, I don't know if you've been looking at my butt, but it's been looking more shapely, right? I've been taking a page out of the Instagram girls.
Okay.
Doing kickbacks, abduction, adductors.
Okay.
But I would finish it with a hip thrust. So I've been doing more hip thrusts. I've been loading the glute drive. Got like 5 plates on it the other day. Because I am in a cut, so I can't do traditional barbell back squat, front squat. Those just take too much out of me. My deadlift. Unless I have a whole high calorie day ahead of it. So
I wonder also, looking at this, the squat hinge movement spectrum, as it's titled here, I wonder where a movement like the barbell hip thrust would land. Does it even land within somewhere inside of this squat and hinge movement?
It'd move towards the end of the hinge, if I think.
Toward the end of the hinge.
Because your knees are not really involved. It's all just
true. Yeah, it's all just there. Yeah. It's funny that he left that one out. I wonder if it's just an outlier.
A lot of people don't like that one. And then a lot of people are against Brett Contreras, like overhyping it.
Yeah.
And I just think people overhype exercises and underhype other exercises. And I think to myself, like, this is just fucking stupid.
I think that's what we kind of say often, like, nothing's better than another one, right? It doesn't, one exercise doesn't reign superior over another. They're just all sort of different.
The hip thrust is absolutely ridiculous. Just deadlift.
They've been doing
the deadlift is ridiculous. It's not going to grow your glutes.
That argument has been coming back, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so silly.
Honestly, I think the best way to build your glutes, if you're anybody, especially women, some sort of variation of squat, more of a low bar back squat than a high bar, so because it puts more of a hinge. Then you go into your deadlift. But between those deadlift and squat days, I would do a hip thrust.
Yeah.
Because the hip thrust is not as damaging. And you could technically do hip thrusts on all 3 days.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because the hip thrust is not damaging. But then use the little days in between to do your abduction, adductors, your kickbacks, those type of moves. I know adductors works the inner thighs. Don't get me wrong, guys. I know that does it. But you still need to even them out, right?
Yes,
and do those little movements, and it'll make a huge difference. And it helps with your stability and this is where people don't understand those little abduction kickbacks that actually help you with your deadlift. And I wish guys would talk about that more often.
Yeah. Working on like the hip extension, stuff like that.
Hip extension, working on stability of the hips.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Just work out your behind the neck press. All right. So I sent you on TikTok. I don't know if you saw it or not. But Austin in 2014, it shows the city and then what it looks like in 2024.
Like a skyline?
Did you see it? Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Go under TikTok right now.
I'm going to go right now.
Dude, I remember Austin looking like the 2014 version versus the 2024 version. And the skyline has completely changed. It tells you how densely populated the skyline has been.
Yeah.
My name's right there.
There you go.
Look, I'm at the very top. Right. And then you're going to go through there and then scroll. I get sitting right there. Look, it's crazy.
Dang, that's crazy.
It's wild how compact Austin has gotten.
It is. I haven't been to Austin in kind of a while now. I think the last time I was there, it was just sort of in and out. I don't hate it,
But I hate it.
But I kind of do hate it. Yeah. And, I guess to your point also is that the ability to like, I don't know, engage in the metropolitan part of Austin, like downtown, stuff like that. Dude, I mean, parking is fucking insane. Like it is an insane amount.
Almost like they need a train.
Almost like, public transport would be awesome or something. But yeah, dude, I mean, like we go out sometimes or whatever, and it's like, okay, I got to park and it's going to be $50, like not even joking around. And then I haven't even had any fun at all. In fact, I'm down.
It'd be cheaper to be in a hotel, park outside, get an Uber, go in.
Yeah.
Take an Uber out.
Probably. Or just fucking, I don't know, go to the convenience store and just party in my house. Like, dude, it's just ridiculous. And I guess as it becomes more and more dense, parking becomes more unavailable. I guess they have to, I don't know, up the prices for it or whatever to limit the amount of people that are out. I don't know what it is, but, and that's happening here too in San Antonio. It's definitely growing. A lot of the place, like the Pearl, you have to pay to park there now too. Places that used to be free are no longer free. And it's not a whole bunch of money. I get it, but it's like, I'm sure it wasn't a whole bunch of money back then in Austin also, and that's only 10 years, dude. It's not like this was Austin in 1985. It was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And it looks completely different. Yeah.
Yeah. It's wild.
It is.
I know you're a big politics guy.
Uh-oh.
Politics is so funny. So recently they've done a bill where they're going to start taxing scholarships.
Oh, wow.
And then people are getting upset and all that stuff. But there's also a interview where Steve Bannon, I don't know if I sent this to you or not, but he talks about what their goal is to flood you with information and then do one or two things off of it. Right.
Yeah.
So like it's so crazy. They're trying to tax scholarships. They're not really doing that. That's just a distraction. What are they really going to do? And this administration was all about being transparent. That's not being transparent. That's flooding social media, flooding the media. So that way you focus on this one thing and then do another to get away with it.
Yeah. Yeah. That seems to be the strategy, right?
And I'm not saying Democrats don't do the same.
Oh, no. I think it's because we're talking about politics, right? In general. I mean, everybody does it, it's like, let me give you something that's so like heinous and out of the ordinary and something that is, I think, bipartisanly like disagreeable.
Yeah. Who like tax scholarships?
No one wants that. You know what I mean? And so you kind of have to sit there and go like, I don't think that's really what's going on, but that's going to make headlines, right? That's going to make, the news, and it's going to piss people off also. Enough to where they're so pissed off at this thing that's not even happening that we can go do the thing that we really want to do.
That's wild, dude. And I think there's been a lot of like flood this, flood that. Even there's a report or a tweet or X.
An X.
Of Donald Trump saying, we're to send the military to California and open up the water so that they can deal with the fires. And then you distracted on that X while they're doing something else on the other side. Like, what they're doing is creating like organized chaos so they could get whatever they want done because you're so focused on the chaos. So it's like we have to slow down as people and see what are they really doing.
Yeah, and it's
because my egg prices are not going down.
They are not. Yeah, and it's I don't know. It's just today I was watching the news at an in-home session with a client, and we were discussing some of the stuff that's going on with it, and they were talking about, I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was the deportation stuff. They're talking about all of that and all of these things that are like, crazy. And then I was like, the other day I was on the internet and as I was like editing the podcast and stuff, a little thing came out on the side that was like breaking news or whatever. And I think it was about President Trump. He had like fired a bunch of people from the DOJ that were like, I guess that
regulators
that investigated him. And I was like, like maybe this deportation stuff is all just a big, distraction for him to go ahead and just like,
But little does he know there has to be a 30 days and then they got to go through like legislation. I think the Senate.
Yeah. You can't just like
fire
dump
inspectors.
People. Yeah. Or just fire people also. I don't know.
That sounds very authoritarian.
It does. It does.
And then you enjoyed Elon telling the alt-right group in Germany Did you see that?
No.
Oh, okay. I want to talk about it. I'll let you see it first.
Okay. That's insane. I do know that he's no longer in the White House, right? He was going to have like a department there, an office or something. Yeah. And now he has to like report to some other lady or something like that. So he doesn't even have direct access to President Trump anymore.
It's wild.
Yeah.
But the best part though, you know how TikTok, you can press the reset button and reset your algorithm?
I saw this, yeah.
Oh, look at Meta's doing it. Instagram got
That's pretty interesting.
Reset your social media right now as we're talking.
I wonder.
And follow all educational things that add value to your life.
Yeah.
Because that's what I do. And then memes.
yeah, just memes. Yeah. Yeah.
You gotta laugh, bro.
You can go and, you know, they were saying like, hey, does your algorithm not feel the same anymore? Like you can go and straight up reset the entire like cache that they have on you. And everything. And because even sometimes I'll go through stuff and I'm like, what the fuck is this shit here? Mm-hmm. Or it just becomes the same, like 3 different things, you know, that just pop up on my Instagram all the time. Yeah. And now for me, it's like,
there's this guy, Strength Solutions, Nathaniel. I'm like, fuck that guy.
So reset this dude. Yeah. And so, you know, for me, it's like either fitness or music or something. So like, it doesn't bother me, but I can imagine that maybe some people have, you know, the same 3 negative things that come up or whatever it is. So it might be a good idea if you go and reset all your whole social media and kind of just get a clean slate and start over, because before then you'd have had to just delete your whole account and start all over.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Pretty cool. All right, let's go to the study. First study says exercise improves brain functioning, possibly reducing dementia and risk.
Wow.
Study confirms positive effects of exercise on insulin signaling proteins from the brain. So they measured it through, I don't know if you read it, but through their blood.
Okay.
So they saw proteins that allow for insulin sensitivity. As we know, the brain doesn't do well with carbohydrates. So being better insulin sensitive is a way for you to be more effective with your brain.
Yeah.
When are we going to like stop? I think where I want to bring the study is like, when are we going to stop like talking about like all the great things exercise do instead of talk about how can we make this a cultural phenomenon?
Yeah.
A cultural acceptance of how do we exercise and enjoy it together as a community, as a family, as friends.
Yeah. Cause oftentimes I'll tell my clients, you know, when they're asking me questions about like, well, how should I eat or what should I do? And I'm like, tell me what you think eating healthy is, you know, and they'll, you know, spit out something and I'm like, that's generally right. You know what I mean? I don't think that we need any more information or any more education. I think most people have a pretty good grasp, at least, right? A somewhat, you know, general idea of what eating healthy would look like. And like you said, I think it is time to start applying information instead of just gathering more information. Because obviously this isn't going to convince anybody to go get up off the couch and start exercising, right? I would imagine it would probably, a small portion of people would even probably get this information, right? So yeah, I think you're right, man. I think there needs to be a sort of a movement on, let's do more studies on how to make people actually work out.
Yes, I do. It's insane. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. They need to acquire more knowledge and more things, but when are we going to change as a culture? What is that tipping point? Right now, you're having people take Ozempic, Mounjaro, Wegovy, Zepbound, and you know what's going to happen is they don't move. They're still going to get dementia. They're still going to get things because now they're at a point where they're even weaker. Their bones are weaker. They have less muscle, so therefore they can't handle carbohydrates coming into the body. And there was a young girl recently on an article I read on YouTube, and she was talking about how I'm so young to have bone density issues.
Wow.
Think about it. If you don't eat a lot, your body's not going to regenerate bone. If you don't move a lot, your body's not going to regenerate bone. So no wonder it happened. But a lot of people don't understand these concepts. We just got to exercise, eat well, sleep well. We're stuck in analog. We're not digital, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Difficult, man. Maybe one day.
Just move. All right. Study number 2. While most Americans use devices to monitor their heart, few actually share their data with their doctor. And I think this is something maybe doctors can improve on and ask, hey, are you using the device? Can we use that information for your health? In the survey, only 32% of people with watches actually did it. 31% of people with blood pressure machines did it. Fitness apps, it was 19%. And then a fitness tracker or moving tracker, 13% of those. So about 1 in 4 use the data to prompt a conversation with their doctor.
I also wonder how many doctors would actually take that information as something usable, and how many of them would maybe just like sort of blow it off. Yeah. But I could totally see a doctor being like, okay, that's good, But I think it is good. I have a client who had a heart episode a few years ago, and he told me that all of his labs, everything came out like totally fine all the time until the one day that he had the episode. And he had said that like one of his doctors was going over some of the stuff, and she was like, there's just no way that anybody would have guessed, that anything was going on. But I wonder if maybe his heart was having really quick fluctuations throughout the day.
Like flutters?
Yeah, maybe they could have said that, or maybe if he had tracked it, he could have seen like, oh, I was sitting here and it was at 200, while I'm just like hanging out doing nothing. But it was so quick that they just didn't notice, or the times that he went to the doctor, maybe there wasn't any, current situation at the moment. So I can totally see how this is something beneficial.
There was one person in the study, in the survey, right? And she was like, my heart rate would drop below like 50. And my watch told me, hey, it traced it. You probably need to, it didn't say you need to see a doctor, but it was like, something's wrong.
Interesting.
So then they went to see the doctor afterwards.
Wow.
And so I think these are good, but then the bad side is they could trace everything you're doing and then market to you.
And they're probably going to do that, right?
Yeah. Dude, my watch knows when I get in the car, I open the car, they know I'm going to work, going home. Am I going to Walmart to go shop, or am I going to HEB because it knows my routine already?
So, okay. Another example is that one of my clients right now is kind of recovering from a surgery, and they have a Fitbit. And they told me that the other day that the Fitbit noticed, I guess, that they hadn't been like moving as often, and that it kind of alerted them, over the course of maybe like a week or two. And it was like, you're either like being really sedentary or you're recovering from like a surgery or something like that. And it was like, asking them which one it was. And then as they kind of ramped up their activity level again, there was a day or two where they had kind of done a lot of steps or things like that. And it notified them again and was like, hey, you might be doing too much, like kind of roll it back a little bit if you're still recovering from whatever. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, how did it even know? Like, that's insane.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into fitness questions that we get. So the first question, what happens when someone reaches their weight goals and body percentage? Where do I go from there?
You're done.
You're done. You're just good. You're set for the rest of your life.
Go back to pizza.
Change your goals. Go back to pizza. No, I think this is where a lot of people lose it. And even people that are on Ozempic, Wegovy, they get to their weight goal, they get off the medicine, but then they don't have any other goals.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they don't like transition their goal into something else.
I was having a conversation with one of my clients, and she was telling me that, a few of her friends were doing exercises and stuff like that, and how they were asking her, like, why do you have a personal trainer? Like, you look good, like you're doing really well. Like, why do you have one? And she was like, no, I need it. Like, I think it's really beneficial for my life. And it's like a lifestyle, like it's something that I'm choosing to do for forever, and so
pretty much like accountability kind of thing.
Yeah, right. And I was like, yeah, I know it's difficult when clients have goals and things like that. Not that I don't want them to have goals, because even I have, general goals and stuff like that. But I caution them against like number goals or things like that, because I'm like, what do you like when you're done? You're never really done with this, like you never should be done. I guess I should say, like, you should always exercise or do something, right? Maybe not always trying to lose weight or always trying to do whatever. But I mean, dude, there's so many people that come in and they're like, I got a trip in 3 months. I want to get to this weight. And then I'm never doing this again, and I'm like, okay.
Dude, I even think like, what are powerlifter goals and what are strongman goals? Like, they probably don't say, I want to hit this amount. They probably say, how do I get stronger? Oh, I just want to get stronger.
Exactly, right? They never say like, oh, I just want to hit 500 and then I'll be done.
Yeah.
Never, ever.
Yeah. There's never a number. It's
Yeah.
like, keep on going.
You just keep going, change your goal.
You gotta be like the Energizer Bunny.
Yeah.
Keep going and going and going. All right. Question number 2. What are your five favorite health indicators?
Okay, sign someone is healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What are yours?
My number 1, you gotta know it.
I already know. Yeah.
Libido.
Yes. Yeah.
Dude, if my libido's on point, dang.
Yeah.
Watch out, Amanda. No, but
she's all scared.
no. To me, that's like my number 1 health indicator. And I think it's for a lot of people. Now, I have a very high libido.
Sure.
If yours is normally like lower,
Moderate, or
but
whatever.
moderate compared to me, what is your normal? That's what you need to think about. You don't need to be like me and like all the time kind of thing.
Yeah. I think people also kind of question that too, because I know I was like, am I supposed to be, like XYZ or whatever? And definitely it's totally different now that I'm on TRT. But we saw a post the other day that said, if you're not horny, then you're not healthy. Right. Mm-hmm. And it kind of stuck with me. I thought about it a lot after I had seen it and we talked about it for a second, because I was like, it truly is like such a human thing. You know what I mean? Like, we're meant to just reproduce, like when you get down to it, like that's what it is. And if you can't do your sole purpose as a human, something's probably wrong. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I get it.
Yeah. I think that's a really good number 1 indicator,
And there's a guy who told me one time, the day you stop looking is the day you die. And I was like, holy shit, there's a lot of wisdom there.
So, wow.
All right. What is one of yours?
I would say, it's difficult to, I guess, explain, but I think how like happy someone is, how much they laugh, how like much they can enjoy situations, things like that.
That could be social.
Yeah.
And all that stuff.
And it's funny. And I say that because I see it in clients, the first time that they come in or the first couple of months, weeks, stuff like that. They're usually maybe a little more reserved, maybe a little uncomfortable, right? Things like that. And then as time goes on, you're like, oh, this person's awesome. And I know that there's a lot to that, right? Like how comfortable they are in working out. They don't even know you, et cetera, stuff like that. But you can see the change, right? Yeah. When someone starts to like become healthy and they just get happier, Yeah.
All right. Number 3 for me. We want to.
Yeah.
This third one. Do you feel strong? Whether it's mentally or physically.
Yeah.
Do you feel empowered?
Yeah, that's really good.
Right. And that means your body feels like it can lift and you feel like you can move things much easier. And I'm picking up this ladder now and I feel like it's super easy. If you feel strong, you are healthier.
I think that's a really good one too. I'm going to go, we got some pretty good ones. I got another unconventional one here. I'm going to say, how often and how easily do you poop?
Oh, okay.
I honestly think that that's a really good indicator.
Like, what does your stool look like?
Yeah, like your digestive health. How comfortable, I guess, is your gut? Are you always bloated all the time? Do you always feel like nauseous and uncomfortable? Because I think that that's a really good indicator of the type of food you're eating, your general gut biome, right? Your gut health. I think that has a huge portion to play on just your health in general, and also as a good indicator of how healthy you're being, as time goes on. So that's number 4. And number 5.
Number 5.
Yeah. I'm trying to think here.
Do you have balance?
Oh, that's a good one.
If you're stable on one foot and all that, you can keep your core engaged and you're able to do different things, because balance, if you fall, sign of weakness, and then you don't have health.
Yeah.
Then it has proprioception added to that as well, being able to feel things around the side.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that's a really good one. So to go over it again, it's how horny are you?
When you stop looking, you die.
When you stop looking, you die. We got
feeling happy.
Feeling happy, yes.
Then how strong do you feel?
Got how often do you poop?
Poops.
Poops.
Why do we still laugh like we're kids? Poops.
Poops will always be funny, yeah.
And then do you have balance?
Do you have balance? I think that if you kind of pay attention to all of those 5 things, the thing is that each one of those encompasses more than just what they are.
Correct.
right? Each one kind of has like 3 or 4 branches off of it, and they kind of all consume into one.
So this next question is, does having enough protein throughout your day more important than for someone, or is it better to time your protein evenly throughout the day? And you fall a little short later?
Interesting.
So if, for example, I have to hit 200. If I hit 50, 50, 50 throughout the day, is it, or 50, if I hit like 100, then 50, and then like another 50 versus 50, 50, 50, or 50, 50, 30, 30, sorry.
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah. I don't know. It depends on the individual, really.
When do you work out? It's a question too.
Yeah, that too, right? How often do you eat per day? Do you only eat 2 meals a day, 3? Like for me, I usually have 2 really big meals.
What do you hit about? Like 70, 80 grams?
I'm trying to think at the moment right now. I feel like I've been doing pretty well on trying to get protein amount and stuff like that. I would think that in every meal, I probably get, like at the minimum 60, probably more. Now I don't really do a protein shake or anything like that. So I may be underestimating, I may be overestimating. But that's about what I get, especially on a good day, like on Saturdays and stuff when we go train in the morning or whatever it is. Like I'll come home if I can destroy some eggs, man. But I think, again, like we said, it just sort of depends because, if I were to tell someone, hey, go eat 100 grams of protein in a single meal, I don't think many people could do that.
Or not that, but let's say you haven't hit your protein goal, but you need to go to sleep for the next day.
Yeah.
Maybe it's better just to be short that day in protein.
Yeah.
And the next day, just eat back to normal.
Yeah. And I think the thing is too, that you should really give yourself like a range of protein, like 150 to 200, right? Or something like that. And as long as you're within that range, you're probably pretty okay, but I think it becomes difficult whenever you're like, no, I need to eat 200 every day. And then you're like not hitting it. And then you're subconsciously being like, fuck, I can't do it. Or, you know what I mean? And so
I got to show you this guy's picture of how much protein he's eating. He's hitting like almost 300.
Yeah, that made me shit myself.
Dude, you can't shit, you're clogged.
Wash it down with some coffee.
I was like, dang, dude, it's wild.
That is insane.
All right, question number 4. Should you spend money on a cold plunge or saunas? Will that make a difference?
Ooh, that's a good one. It could, I guess.
It really depends who you are. To be at the end of the day, if you're a person who needs that to help you motivate to work out, like maybe you need the cold plunge, that's okay. But is it going to make a huge difference statistically? No, unless it changes behavior.
Yeah, because I think that's the thing, right? Is like cold plunge, a sauna, a supplement, whatever, isn't on its own going to do anything. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to be the reason you're not getting results.
Correct.
Isn't because you don't have a cold plunge. Like that's never been.
So there's a lot of studies done on all cause mortalities and saunas helping, right? But in these studies also, is it really just helping with all cause mortalities, or is there a bias to people who are healthy already using the sauna is my question.
Yeah.
And I think we get that twisted in the fitness space is like, who are we talking to?
Yeah.
It's like a biased.
Because also I would imagine that if you're going out and buying a sauna or a cold plunge, you probably already do a bunch of other stuff. If you're getting to that kind of like specificity.
Yeah.
Because we've even in a similar sense seen research articles where they're like, people who take a multivitamin are healthier on average than people that don't. And it's like, well, people that take multivitamins probably also pay attention to this and that and whatever, and it's like the multivitamins isn't saving anybody's life, right? It's probably everything else that they're doing too. So,
but just keep on getting knowledge, not applying it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys, if you like what we're doing, you can check us out on Apple and Spotify. You can rate and review us. We're also on YouTube. Please like, comment, and share. Then our website is strengthsolutionspodcast.com. We have free blogs, free guides, and programs for purchase. Also, strengthsolutionspodcast@gmail.com for a email for future fitness questions. Strength Solutions Podcast on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
Until next time, guys. What? Peace out.